Nothing. I'm open book, so whatever you want to chat about, we're good.
Well, that's awesome. I like people like you, Angela, who are very open-minded and can easily talk. We're recording now, so yes, thanks for joining us on this podcast, and thanks for taking the time because we've met. I don't think we've met face to face, but we've met many times on Facebook. We've spoken, and I think what you're doing is quite remarkable. I think you've got a very upbeat, positive atmosphere. So that's why we're talking, and I'd like to know more about you. So for those who may not know you, tell us more about how you got started in the business and what is it you do.
Sure, I'll tell a little bit. So first of all, I was homeschooled my whole life, 3 months in a Christian school. That's it. So a
Wow.
little bit different upbringing than some. Dyslexic. I got into a lot of blue collar jobs. I trained horses for 17 years. I drove school bus for 10 years. I drove truck for 14 years, part-time and full-time, built houses, everything like that. Things started getting slow in 2015, and that's when I got introduced to the financial industry. Saw that I could start part-time, learn about money and finance for myself, and so that's what I did. I got started part-time in 2015, quit truck driving in 2016 when I saw the difference we could make for families and the need that was out there. And yeah, since 2016, we've been full-time ever since, working across Canada and the States. And yeah, just excited for growth and where we're headed.
That's pretty cool. So for those who may not know, where are you from? You're from Alberta, aren't you?
I'm from Alberta, yes.
Yeah, so it's a different vibe in Alberta, it seems. Yeah.
Different compared to what? I don't know, but yeah. Like, girl,
Ontario, we're
here's our
still
vibe.
yeah, yeah. Like I know, like in Ontario, a few people actually raise horses in Ontario. Like it's a whole different atmosphere. But so what when you meet people at parties and networking events, how do you introduce yourself on the role that you help them, you help others?
Really depends on what they are. So, if they're in sales, for instance, they're like, I'm a car salesman. We work with car salesmen, and what we do is we help car salesmen basically use the skills that they already have to be able to build passive income so that eventually they don't have to work as many hours and can have more freedom of time and schedule. So kind of depends on, like, if they're a teacher, we can do the same thing. So we just basically depends on who we're meeting and what they do and what their skill set is
Cool,
on how I
cool. So
guess I would
so so,
talk about it.
so you're like an active investor.
Active recruiter.
Active recruiter. Okay, great.
Yeah.
I'm not actually in car sales, but we do. As a realtor, I do help people find buy their sell their house or mostly
Right.
invest in real estate. So how do you help in that
A real
regards?
estate? Oh man, real
Yeah.
estate's so good. So one of my agents is actually in real estate. So basically
Yeah.
with real estate agents, we just help them build an additional passive source of income using the clientele and the skills they already have so that they can make, a match or double their income passively while they're doing their active, sales within the real estate industry.
That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, it's fun.
Can you elaborate on that, on the process or the steps to go about that?
Yeah. What was that?
Can you elaborate on the
Sure.
procedure or the steps to go about doing
Yeah,
that?
totally. So, if someone that's in real estate gets licensed, in our industry, when they see someone in real estate, like we just sat down with one of my agents, like I said, she's a real estate agent, and we just sat down with one of her clients, and they needed insurance because they just got a
Mm,
mortgage and they need insurance.
yes,
And
yes,
now, she's getting paid from that, or she'll get paid from that kind of thing. Quite good income because we get paid quite well in the financial industry. The person gets covered, so it's like win-win-win, and it's just like seeing people she's already seeing anyway. So why not make an extra couple $1,000s a month, and then that starts to build a passive book of business in the investment and insurance industry, so that eventually, like with real estate, it's kind of at transaction to transaction.
yes.
Eventually, we might get tired of doing transaction to transaction, and we want something that's going to pay us passively, so that if we don't work, we still get paid.
That's pretty cool. So you're saying that people can put in some funds, some money, some capital into
Just get their insurance license. Super
okay, okay,
simple. And then all the
cool.
commissions are split. They don't have to do the work.
Yeah,
They're getting paid, whatever it is, $500 to $1,000 per referral or more, depending on what someone needs. And they're not doing any of the work.
Cool, cool. So does that conflict sometimes with so one can do this as a realtor, as
Mortgage
a
brokers.
mortgage broker.
Yeah.
It doesn't conflict, it's not a conflicting interests.
Only with real estate if the brokerage sells insurance, which most don't is what I find, but
Yeah.
some do. The odd one has it like in-house, then your broker might not like it. Like if there's a conflict of interest, that's the like a banker cannot do both. They sell
Yeah.
the same products, but real estate and what we do is obviously totally different products. So there's no like conflict of interest as far as that goes.
So,
Um,
so a realtor can do a transaction at the very end of the transaction, say, listen, I'm also, there's also this option if you're interested, and
yep.
present something to do
Yeah,
with
and then by I don't know if Ontario's any different from Alberta. In
Yep,
Alberta, they have to say, hey, we're going to give you three options for three financial experts that could help
of
you.
course. That's the same thing
And
in
then
Ontario.
one of them is them.
Yeah. Oh,
It's
cool,
gonna
cool.
be, yeah,
And when I think insurance, often I'm thinking of home insurance or car insurance. What kind of insurance are you talking about?
personal insurance.
Personal insurance.
Yeah, so protecting the person, not their vehicles and their houses.
Okay. So this is interesting. Let's elaborate on that. What is what's personal insurance? Because obviously I'm
Like
thinking now it depends
disability,
on.
life, critical
Oh yeah,
illness,
yeah.
benefits, all of that kind of stuff to actually protect the person that's paying the bills, not the house that they're paying for.
This
The
is
money
not
maker.
life.
I like to say it's the money maker. You're covering, you're protecting the money maker, the person that like we're kind of like I like to picture people as like a money making machine.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
if the which we are, so if we get hurt and the money making machine goes down, there's no more money. So we have to
yeah.
insure the money making machine so that the money keeps coming in.
That makes sense. That
Yeah.
seems sensible. Seems
And
like a
some people do
very
that. You know, they
business.
insure their car, they insure their house, they insure their phone, or they insure all these things, but then they don't insure themselves, which is the what pays for all of the above.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like but you get the insurance, you get the or you get the funds, not when you die, but before that.
Yeah, well, like, or whenever you pass away, I mean, life insurance, critical illness. Obviously, when I got diagnosed with MS, that was $100,000 check that was
Ooh,
mailed to me for that. You know, someone's disabled and they can't work, they need a monthly money coming in so that they could, afford to pay the bills while
yeah.
they can't work. Just making
Can
sure that
you?
those kind of things are taken care of. And a lot of times, like with houses, you obviously get a mortgage, they have to get a mortgage, most people. And with the mortgage, they're always offered like mortgage life insurance. Well, mortgage life
Yes.
insurance, as you and I both know, is not the best product on the market.
Yeah.
Like I said, we just sat down with this client yesterday just for a good reminder because they're like, yeah, we're covered. I was like, look at the fine print. And sure enough, he had had heart valve surgery or something like 3 years ago, and he had ticked the box no. So if they had approved it, it wouldn't have paid out when there was a claim anyway. So they're paying $120 a month for something that wouldn't have
Mm,
even paid out. Like, how terrible
wow.
is that? So people don't
That
even
is,
know the fine print, so they need to replace that with actual insurance that will actually pay out if there's ever a claim, heaven forbid. So they need to make sure that they have that. So then that's what we do. We just make sure that they have the best insurance, that they understand it, because that's a big thing. You're like I said, you're in real estate. It's so cool because when people are in real estate, they're already doing the biggest purchase of that person's life is real estate normally.
yes.
So there's a trust value there that's already there with people in real estate because, well, they just sold them the biggest thing of their life. So they have to trust you. Like there has to be some
Of
trust,
course. Trust is
you
very
know?
big, yes.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, well, then you can explain, or whatever that other stuff that they need. Maybe they got investments that need to be
Yeah.
moved. Maybe they have all these other things that most real estate agents leave on the table because they're just going transaction to transaction. But there's all these little things that these people have
Hmm.
that are continuing. Like once they buy a house, actually, you would know this. How often do they need to or do people normally trade out a house? Like, is it 2 years, 5 years? I know it's not as
Usually
long as it
typically
used to be.
average is about 7 years.
7 years?
We typically work with investors, so they're looking to build up more of a portfolio. They're not
Okay.
homeowners in that sense, but they're looking for cash flow, they're looking for good appreciation and something that they can add value to. That's who we work with typically.
Yeah. So I mean, if every 7 years, whereas with our like what we do, I mean, people need it like all the time. Like maybe they
Yeah.
had a kid, or maybe they like I don't know, something comes up
Life
and now they need
changing.
something and they need some. So it's a
Yeah.
continuing source of income, referrals, and connection with that client for the rest of their life too. So it gives them like
Can you,
it's just an extra source.
I think that makes sense. Definitely it covers the moneymaker so that if you're sick or so. Can you
Yeah.
elaborate on your story? Because you mentioned that you got sick and then
Yeah,
this helped you out immensely. So tell us your
totally.
story.
So I was in my 30s, healthy, doing all the things, and then, you're healthy until you're not. And
Yeah.
most people, the thing about any insurance is you can't, you can get it 5 years early, but you cannot get it 5 minutes too late. And
Hmm.
so, it's like any kind. And so, gratefully I had insurance in place. So in 2019, I got diagnosed with MS, which is an autoimmune disease, that had affected my walking quite a bit. And it didn't really matter that it had or had it. That wasn't the purpose of the insurance. Insurance pays out when you get diagnosed. So I got
Yeah.
diagnosed and I had a policy in place, just like life insurance pays out whenever, something happens tragic like that. This pays out when something happens tragic,
Hmm.
like a critical illness. So
Unexpected.
cancer,
Unexpected.
heart
Yeah.
attack, that kind of thing. And so they mailed me a check. It's actually sitting here in my office, for $100,000. And I
Wow.
just like, here you go. Congratulations. You got MS. Here's a check for that. And the significance of it, a lot of people don't, they think a lot of our stuff is covered in Canada, and a lot of it is, but a lot of it's not. And
Hmm.
and people don't even think normally of the extras that are happening that are costly, I guess you could say. Like
Yeah.
I've fallen a few times, I broke my computer a couple times, so you need to fix that, and stuff like that. Like people don't even think about stuff like that. Or I rent a scooter because it, on the cruise it just works way better. Like all those like extra costs of having something that people like don't even think about. That's what that stuff's for, right? If and like this last
So
year we
the
paid
hundred
out three
thousand was to
claims.
cover. Sorry. The 100,000 was to cover basically your living expenses or the lack
It's for
of.
whatever you want it for. So in my
Really?
case, I just invested it. Like it's not,
Okay.
it's not for anything. It's for
Yeah.
you. You got diagnosed, whatever you choose to do with it. Choose to go for stem cell replacement therapy in Mexico, great. You
Really?
choose to just investment, great. It's like you got diagnosed, you get a payout. So this
And
last
how
year,
long
like I
did they
said, in one
take?
year, we paid out three claims in one year. I don't know what's happening in our world, but it seems like there's a lot more claims. And like one of them, she had a stroke. And she ended up using it. She was in her 50s. She ended up using it, I think, to just pay some bills and like get it caught up, get some debt out of the way, that kind of
Yep.
thing. The other one, she used it. She had cancer, also in her 50s. She used it to buy their house. So she used it for a down payment on a
Oh,
house.
nice.
The third one, she's 39, unfortunately, breast cancer and $50,000 claim. And she's just using it to live on. She had to move home with her
Yeah.
parents. She's got a baby. She can't work. She's going through chemo. So it's just for living. And so everyone has different reasons for the money. It doesn't matter. The money comes no matter what. So it's not about what you're using it for. It's just like you got diagnosed, you get money, kind of
That's
thing.
yeah. It's a good system to be in. It's unfortunate that it happens to a few people. So who do you typically work with generally?
Well, as far as on the client side, I mean, our model is no mission. Our mission is no mission, like no family left behind. So the everyday Canadian that normally gets left behind, because most financial institutions cater to the high net worth Canadian.
Yeah.
And even them, like I'm just amazed they get left behind too. I sit down with people that are, running corporations or bringing in millions, and they still don't know like tax sheltering within your corporation and all of these kind of strategies that people can use to
Hmm.
pay less taxes, to save more money, to give more estate to their family, like all of that kind of stuff. Most people don't know that. So we help with that. So our big thing is educating people on everything,
Yeah.
like everything financial.
It's not taught in schools. Like a lot of this is not taught in schools. So how do people reach out to find out more about that, about to be educated on that realm?
Yeah, well, I mean, they can reach out to me. I always say Instagram is easy because everyone has Instagram or
Yeah.
whatever.
I
Always
just
phone
joined
me.
last month.
Yeah, what did you say?
I'm hooked on it now. I'm hooked.
You got on it now? Instagram is great.
I'm always a latecomer, but now I'm in.
You got there? Yeah.
I'm in there.
Instagram,
Yeah.
Facebook. I mean, phone me, smoke signals, all of the above, they all work. I don't really care. Um, but yeah, all the good things. But yeah, Angela Bradford and yeah, just reach
Okay.
out. I can put you in touch with people. I mean, I have agents across Canada and the US
How
also
does
that,
that work? So you
so
work within a group of agents, a group of individuals. Do they have are their specialty? Is that how does that work?
sign kind of, or they're just doing their own, like they're running their own businesses. So kind of
Okay.
like real estate. You know how in real estate, like everyone's independent, but they're part of a brokerage?
Oh, yes, yes.
Same concept. So everyone's independent, but they're part of a brokerage. So, like
So
they're
do
part of my team.
I imagine for insurance, some people have specifically they just do home insurance, they do life insurance, they do
Kind of
is
do
that how
everything. Yeah,
okay.
most of our people do, everything to a degree. I refer out like, so what makes us different, I guess, as far as product wise goes, is we're a broker. So I work with 50 companies in Canada, 150 in the States to
Wow.
find the best option. So we're not restricted to one company, which like if you go to RBC or you go to TD or whatever, um,
Hmm.
whatever bank, they're all great. They just have their own products. They're not going to tell you to go to the company across the street for something different, of course. Whereas
Yeah,
we don't care. We're just going to find the best option for the family or the business that we're helping, as opposed to the institutions behind us.
that's cool.
So that's,
And do you hear often people not getting paid out sometimes? Because I've dealt with insurance in the past. I mean, this was for a house, and once
yeah,
I
I don't know
did,
much about house. House and auto
yeah,
is not my specialty. I'm not
okay,
general life
okay,
isn't.
yes, yes.
Um, and so no, I
Often the
won't say
fear,
it's
often
totally fair.
people's fears is they pay these premiums, and all of a sudden, the moment they want it, they need it, it's a
True.
battle in order to pull it out. And you hear all these stories. I have a friend recently who got a car accident, and it's just it drags down the battle of getting some
Yeah,
funds out.
car and house. I don't know. I was talking to
Yeah.
my friend that does that, and I'm like, that's a whole different ball game.
Oh yeah, yeah,
But as far as personal insurance, I haven't had a claim not pay out that was like that I thought would pay out. You know what I mean? So sometimes you just kind of know that like disability. There's disability for sickness and there's disability for accident. There's it's different.
Mm,
So if someone's sick and they're trying to claim on an accident policy, I'll tell them let's try, but like I'm not getting their hopes up. Like probably not. Like what the fine print is. And when I get a policy in place, I want people to know the fine print. Here, this is what's going
yeah,
to happen. This is what's not, like just to know what the options are. But every claim that I've processed that I thought should have clay paid out has paid out.
that's good.
So
So
I
so what are
really do
most
believe in the
people's
industry.
what are most people's concerns or worries in regards to insurance on the personal level of insurance?
I would say exactly what you said. Like a lot of people are worried that it's not going to pay out. I
Yeah,
get a lot, especially in the older generation. When I
they're
got
not
in the industry,
trustworthy.
well, I mean, I think it just has changed a lot. And so there
Yeah.
was a lot of skepticism back in the old days. Like my parents were super, super skeptical when I got in the industry. So I think when I got my first claim and I was my first claim, I think that really shocked them. Like in a good way. They're like, wow, this like, okay, this stuff is real and it works.
This this
Um,
this could pan
so
out.
I,
Yeah.
I think that's a huge question. A lot of people just wonder, am I just throwing my money away? Would it be better to do other things with it. Um, because, until something happens, most people also, the other thing is most people think they're invincible until
Oh,
something
yeah,
happens.
that was me at 21. Invincible, of course. Of course,
Yeah.
never is going to happen. But I think the reality, which was sweet, it's hard to talk to but about, but the fact we're gonna
The
slowly
reality is all of us are going to die. Death and
yeah.
taxes are
Well,
guaranteed.
even before that, we get sick. Like I've seen a few people die.
Yep.
They get
Yep.
sick and they're hopeful that they're going to get out of it, but they get
Yep.
sicker, sicker, and the next thing you know, they're done. It's
Yep.
not a pleasant process, and we keep these people away from major society. Not so we don't
Yeah.
see the sick, but it's definitely yeah, it's the reality of it. So it's
Yeah,
not
and that's like I think the biggest thing is like I said, people just are like I get people all the time and it makes me laugh because obviously I have MS. So, they're like, I'm healthy, I don't need this coverage. I'm like, did you think I wasn't healthy? I was running 2 miles, I was training horses,
yeah,
I was doing a lot,
yeah,
I was healthy. And
yeah.
so then people are like, oh, well, it doesn't run in my family. Like it didn't run in mine either. Like, like all the stories people tell themselves. I'm like, 1 out of 2 people, I think it is now gets cancer, or 1 out of 3, like it's high.
No,
And
that
I'm like,
high.
yeah, it's super high. So I'm like, maybe we'll be lucky if there's 2 of us because I already got something. So you might not. But if there's 2 of you and neither one of you have it, one of you's getting it. So like, which one is
Yeah.
it? It's kind of like Russian roulette. So, what are you gonna do?
That's
And
not pleasant. So does the premium depend on like what if the individual was running often, was healthy, going to the gym often? Wouldn't their
It can help
premium be less than
sometimes.
someone
Yep.
who's smoking 2 packs a day,
Yep. Oh
beer,
yeah. Smoker to
smoke?
non-smoker is massive difference.
Yeah.
Massive difference.
Do how
Um,
do they what are the criterias? Like I'm just thinking, do they verify if you've got a gym membership or do you go
no,
to the
not for
gym
that normally, but
regularly, or
like,
to what
that
extent?
like height and weight obviously is a thing. Um,
Okay,
and then smoker or non-smoker, I mean, that's just like night
that's
and day.
huge. Yeah,
Or
yeah,
like, do you drink? Do you have family history? Not like drink like once in a while, but like really
yeah,
drink.
yeah.
That's a thing. Obviously, anything that's kind of considered unhealthy. Are you a daredevil? Do you have a lot of traffic violations? That's probably a high risk thing.
Really,
Um,
really.
well, you think
That's
about it,
funny.
like life insurance,
Yeah, yeah,
crazy
yeah. People
driver,
got,
probably not a good idea.
what
I don't
else
know
do
how
they
it affects
deem?
the
What
like the
else do they
critical illness
deem?
stuff, but it definitely on the life side, it's something.
So
So
what else does the insurance company deem unhealthy? I'm interested in this because
yeah,
I think most people think they live a healthy life, but I mean, does eating meat consider healthy or
they don't
not?
ask
I'm
about that.
not
So
asked about
that's
that.
not that's never like
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
thinking of all
yeah,
of our companies, that's not a question.
yeah.
That would be too personal and too
That was,
invasive.
yes, definitely, definitely.
But yeah, like I said, drug use, alcohol use, smoking use, um,
The obvious
crazy,
ones,
like doing dangerous sports.
rock
Um,
climbing.
yeah, rock climbing would be, well, like real rock climbing, like not in the gym. Rock
Yeah,
climbing would be a thing. Like, yeah, rappelling off rocks, um,
yeah, of
bungee jumping, cliff
course.
diving, all that kind
Yeah,
of fun
yeah.
stuff. Um, I always say fun but dangerous sports. Have you done any fun but dangerous sports? Like traffic violations, stuff like that, obviously is kind of a hit and miss. Your family history, that is a thing,
Mhm.
like especially if you're like, a male and your dad had like cancer and heart attack and stuff before like 65,
Oh
chances
yeah.
are higher that you're going to get it. And that's whenever I like message the provider, like say your father was like really, your father had it, but he was like really overweight, smoker, all the unhealthy things.
Mhm.
I'll add that as in like a, hey, yeah, they had all this stuff,
Yeah.
but it wasn't like they were a healthy person. And this person here looks after themselves, they're in shape, they go to the gym, and the underwriter will take that into account based on what you tell them. So,
So how much money can people receive when they do get sick? Because it's eventually going to happen.
depends what they can
Wh-
afford would be part of it, because obviously
Oh, really? Is
insurance
that how?
is
Okay,
based on your age. And then there would be a maximum. It's called insurable need. So if someone's like on life insurance for sure, if someone's like not like they get a $5 million policy and maybe that seems a little bit high, then it's
Mhm.
suspicious. So
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah,
it's like,
yeah,
what's planning on happening?
yeah.
So there's what's called an insurable need as far as what the person needs and therefore what they can get. So they do take into account of that. I've never had anyone maxed out on critical illness. Like I said, normally the price of it is more than the other
Okay.
part of it.
And the
So
premiums are how like they're reasonable and their monthly payments yearly. How does that
depends. There's so many
depend?
depending, man. Can't say anything on that. There's just depends on what the person needs and age and
And is there a
term.
term or like after 15 years, it's like, okay, wait a sec, I put more money into this than it's worth.
Yeah, so
Uh,
you'd have to look at all that, right? That's
yeah,
very individual, case by case
yeah.
for sure.
So everything is case by case on that one. Okay, that sounds fascinating. Okay. So yeah, that's quite a different world that I'm used to on it. Do you have any questions for us?
No, I'm good. Like, yeah, what kind of value can I provide?
Yeah, yeah. Well,
I
maybe
feel like you've got
I
some
would
good
say
answers here.
yes. So
Good.
the 5 tips you would suggest for someone just purchased their first investment property, they're their mid-30s or so, what would you suggest their 5 tips to do in regards to for insurance for to improve their life, to enhance their life, to prepare for what may be coming up in the
Well, I don't know about
next.
insurance, but I mean, number one tip is find a financial professional that you respect, they
Oh
know
yeah.
their stuff,
Yeah,
have access and sit down with them, and so they can build a comprehensive plan. Um, you know,
good.
of savings and all that. And in saying that, like, I think a big thing for a lot of people, I don't know about investment property people, like just in general, one of the things to build wealth is a mindset of building wealth. So like,
Mm,
saving before you're ready to save is really important in my mind.
yep.
A lot of people are just focused on paying off debt instead of saving, but that's a mindset. So if you're always focused on paying off debt, you'll always be paying off debt because you keep bringing
Mm,
debt into your life by your mindset and by your law of attraction. So
well
need to
put.
start saving, need to start giving. It's so funny. Just recently, I felt like I was supposed to give. Well, I do give to my church quite a bit, and I was like, and I don't know. I just gave, and then like literally like the next week, all this stuff started coming in. Like it was kind of crazy. Out of nowhere, all this business. I was like, yeah, you can't outgive God. So giving back,
Yes, yes, very
saving,
important,
like it's
very
a mindset.
important.
Even if someone listen to this and like, man, I can't save anything. Like I'm very much save like $1. Like
Hmm.
save something. It's a mindset. It's not an amount. And when
Yep.
you get into
It's
that
a habit as
mindset
well.
of,
It's just you
it's
get
a
into the
habit.
habit of it. Hmm.
Yeah. And too many people, I think they're like, I'll save win. And win never comes. So
Yeah.
like just starting that, to me, that's one of the biggest things I've really been aware of is a lot of like really successful people are savers. What can you start saving and giving? And because it's an abundance behavior. And when you
Hmm.
act in abundance, abundance comes. So,
Oh, well put.
money is
Very well
so
put.
much about like the mindset. Like it's everything, which frustrates me sometimes because I don't know if, I thought like a billionaire, I'd be a billionaire because the money's all there. It's just my mindset hasn't become a billionaire mindset. So once it
Love
is,
it.
I will be there.
Yes.
Anyone's listening and they're like, oh, it's like things just happen. Things don't just happen. We manifest them,
Yes, definitely,
good
definitely.
and bad.
Definitely. Yes, definitely.
So,
I definitely. It's everything you're saying makes sense completely. You said giving back. Now, how is it you give back, or how is it you like giving back?
well, personally, like I have some charities that are really near and dear to my heart. So, giving back a lot there. Like we're sponsoring a golf tournament this year for one of the charities in town that I really like. They
Nice.
help women and kids get out of addiction situations. And
Okay.
so that's when I really give back to. My church also is a big part of who I
Mhm.
give back to. And really, to me, those are a big thing. So last year we were able to donate 20% of my income to charity. And,
Wow.
I was really excited about that. And I eventually want to get to a point where I live on 10% of my income and the rest is either savings or giving back. Like,
That's
I don't,
investments coming in. Yeah.
yeah, just like living off of like, you don't need to keep like living higher and higher. I think you can like give back and,
That's so important.
and save.
Rarely do people talk like this. It's refreshing to hear this because a lot of people, it's always about making more and more and more, but
Which
a
you
lot
want
of
to, because then you can give back more. Like, and so many people don't, one of the, like I said, I'm a Christian and I feel, and if anyone's listening to this, they'll understand in that community, there's a lot of I feel very faulty financial thinking of like, the love of money, the root of all evil. It's a
oh yeah,
love of
yeah,
money.
yeah,
Money's not the root of all evil. It's a love
yes,
of money. Like
yes,
money is
yes,
good in good
yes,
hands. Good money is good.
yes,
So
precisely. It just,
like,
I mean, and money just amplifies who
who
you
you are.
are.
Yes.
So it's
So a
not,
lot of the good people out there, like, I don't need to make more money. Like, I don't
see,
like, I'm okay with where
yeah,
I'm at. No, you might be, but like, give back
yeah,
more.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
there's
exactly. The
people
more
that
you
need
can
the
make,
money. So I'm
yeah,
like super passionate about this.
yeah,
Go make a lot of money if you can and give it back. If it's not for
yeah.
you, give it
Yeah,
back.
you
Like,
don't hear that too often in church.
I guess not.
Make
Yeah,
more
I got a
money
good
than give it
church.
back. Yeah. I've heard people giving who are making large sums of money and they're giving 50% of their income and they feel
Yes.
amazing with it. And they're truly making a huge difference in society. And
Yes.
they're fun. They have enough for their family. So it's
I
great to hear.
was on a plane ride with John Maxwell this last year. If anyone doesn't know who he is, he's one of the top leadership guys. He's amazing. And
Yep.
one of the guys in there, one of the other fellow playmates, I guess you could say, was saying he was talking to someone that stretched his vision of giving $100 million back to charity. And I was like, wow, that's so cool. So in order to give $100
Huge.
million back, you've got to make a lot to give it back. So I was like, wow,
Yeah.
that's so cool. Like it just stretched my vision. I was like, I really like that idea because yeah, you can make such a difference.
Huge impact.
Money
Huge
is our
impact.
currency, like it or not,
Definitely.
it's our
Yeah.
currency. People are like,
We
money
live
doesn't
in a
buy
capitalist
happiness.
society.
I'm like, it buys everything.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, definitely.
So,
Two more tips about how you would suggest for people to
uh,
find financial terms for people just starting off with their investments.
like 2 tips on what to kind of look into.
Yeah, yeah, just to kind of because we said about five and then we jumped
I don't even know where
we
we're at.
exactly
Lose
we're at
count. Where
two,
are we
three, and all of a sudden now we're at three. Just two more or so. Two
at?
more tips.
Some
You got
tips.
some good ones. I like the mindset, the manifestation, and just the
Another one, like
vision.
for building wealth mindset would be, and not mindset, but activity is like
Yep.
associations. Once again, who are you with? Because if you
Oh,
hang around with broke people, you're going to be the broke person. So like,
yeah.
who are you hanging out with? And do they like talking to that guy that wants to give back $100 million? Well, that totally stretched my vision. I was like, I want to do that. That sounds
Yeah, hang out
great.
with him. You're
Yeah, like
going
it
to make a
stretches your
difference.
vision. Where you hang out with someone that's like, oh my gosh, I can't afford, whatever. Not saying don't like hang with them, but like limit it because you'll like get that mindset
Yeah,
where
yeah,
people are like,
yeah,
oh my gosh, it's
yeah.
so rough out there. Everything's getting expensive, all this stuff. When you hang around that, you start thinking that you're like, oh my gosh, it
Well,
is. And you
you
start
go down. You
contracting.
go down with them.
Yeah, you go down
Just
with
the
them.
feeling. Yeah, you go down.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not
I was
pleasant.
learned in the horse training world, if you put two horses together and one was hard to catch and one was easy to catch, pretty soon you couldn't catch either one. So it never goes the other way around. Very, very rarely do you drag someone up. So they'll drag you down. So be careful who you hang out with because that's like really important. Um,
So typically you're saying it's easy to go down, but it's more difficult to go up. So hang
right?
around with more
Yeah.
smarter. That's really good. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's really good.
downhill habits. It's easy, way
Yeah,
easier than uphill. Um, so they'll kind of like drag you down to their, like even as I was saying it, I could feel my energy shift. Like, and I'm not even around that. Like it's just like it's
yeah.
such a verbal thing. And then like I said, just making sure that your family's protected. We ensure, when you find this financial person, they should build you a good comprehensive plan. We insure a
Mhm.
phone, we insure a car, we insure a house, but we don't always insure ourselves. And when
Yes.
something happens, like, and from all the way from the bottom up in your family, like everyone needs to be covered because things happen. And then we need to have money to
For
afford
sure.
whatever
To
it is
live, to
when things happen.
survive. I mean, we live in a beautiful world, but we live in a capitalist society, and to rely on government, I don't want to go there. I definitely want to go there.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that was 5 tips in there somewhere.
Yeah, that was that was good. Pleasure talking with you, Angela. That was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed speaking with you, and I like your mindset about financial freedom, financial things that can be done, and just the vision of what you're saying is very refreshing. I thank you for taking the time.
I
Thank you.
appreciate you having me on.
Yes. Okay. We'll talk again.
Thank you.
Goodbye.